Admiral Zexathara stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominion's Wrath, her 6 arms crossed in satisfaction as she gazed through the viewport at the blue marble before them. Earth hung in space like a jewel, completely surrounded by the hegemony's most formidable battle fleet. 2,000 warships formed concentric spheres around the planet, their weapons charged and targeting systems locked. "Pathetic," she muttered, her translator converting her clicks and whistles into standard galactic. "They don't even have proper orbital defenses." The humans had been observed for cycles now, a primitive species that had barely achieved interstellar travel, still using chemical rockets and crude fusion drives. Their military consisted of projectile weapons and basic energy shields. The galactic hegemony had conquered dozens of species far more advanced. "Admiral," Communications Officer Veltar chirped from his station. "We're receiving a transmission from the surface. They're requesting parley?" Zexathara's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a human male in what appeared to be a blue military uniform. He had graying hair at his temples and calm eyes that seemed oddly amused. "I am General Harrison of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said. "I assume you're here for our surrender?" "Indeed," Zexathara replied, leaning forward in her command throne. "You have 1 standard hour to prepare your world for integration into the hegemony. Resistance will result in the elimination of your species." The human nodded slowly. "I see. Well, Admiral?" "Admiral Zexathara of the Hegemony First Fleet." "Admiral Zexathara, I have a question for you. Are you familiar with human history?" The Admiral's secondary eyes narrowed. "Your primitive conflicts are irrelevant." "Perhaps, but humor me. Do you know what happened to the last group that tried to conquer us?" Zexathara felt a flicker of annoyance. "There have been no previous attempts to conquer your world. You were discovered only recently." General Harrison smiled, an expression that somehow made Zexathara's chitinous skin crawl. "That's what we wanted you to think." Before the Admiral could respond, her sensor officer's voice cracked across the bridge. "Admiral, I'm reading massive energy signatures throughout the fleet. Something's wrong." On the tactical display, red warning indicators began flashing across every single ship in the Armada. Zexathara whirled toward her stations. "Report. Unknown energy. Drain on all vessels. Power levels dropping rapidly across the entire fleet." The lights on the bridge dimmed, then brightened, then dimmed again. Zexathara felt the familiar hum of the ship's engines beginning to falter. "What sorcery is this?" she demanded, turning back to the screen where General Harrison still waited patiently. "Not sorcery, Admiral. Just good old-fashioned human ingenuity." He gestured toward someone off-screen. "You see, about 50 years ago we had visitors much like yourselves. The Korthax Empire. Magnificent ships, advanced technology, utterly convinced of their superiority. The power fluctuations were getting worse. Throughout the bridge, officers were frantically working at their stations, but their equipment was becoming increasingly unresponsive. They made the same mistake you did," Harrison continued conversationally. "They assumed that because we appeared primitive, we actually were primitive. They never considered that maybe, just maybe, we might be a little cleverer than we looked." "Impossible," Zexathara snarled. "Our ships are shielded against all known forms of electromagnetic interference." "Known forms, yes, but you see, Admiral, we're really quite good at coming up with unknown forms." Harrison's smile widened. "Tell me, when your ships scanned our planet, what did they detect?" Zexathara's tactical officer spoke up, his voice trembling. "Standard electromagnetic signatures, primitive industrial output, minimal energy production." "Minimal detectable energy production," Harrison corrected. "We've gotten rather good at hiding things underground, or in the ocean depths, or in the space between dimensions, if you want to get technical about it." The Admiral felt a chill run down her exoskeleton. "You're bluffing." "Am I? Check your fleet status, Admiral." With growing horror, Zexathara watched as ship after ship reported the same thing. Complete power failure, weapons offline, engines dead, life support running on emergency reserves that wouldn't last more than a few hours. The Korthax made excellent teachers, Harrison continued. Their technology, combined with human creativity and our rather unique talent for engineering impossible solutions to impossible problems, has been quite educational. We've had 50 years to prepare for the next visitors. This is impossible. Zexathara's voice rose to a screech. No primitive species could what? Build quantum resonance disruptors that specifically target hegemony power cores? Create selective electromagnetic pulse fields that can penetrate your shielding? Develop cloaking technology that makes our entire defensive grid invisible to your sensors? Harrison shrugged. You're right. No primitive species could do that. The bridge was now running on emergency lighting. Several of Zexathara's officers had collapsed at their stations, overcome by the failing life support. But we're not primitive, Admiral. We're just very, very good at pretending to be. What do you want? Zexathara gasped, her breathing apparatus struggling in the thinning air. The same thing we wanted from the Korthax, for you to leave, never come back, and spread the word to anyone else who might be interested in conquering Earth. Humans don't make good victims. And if we refuse? Harrison's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes grew cold. Then you'll join the Korthax fleet in the Ort cloud. Beautiful view out there. Very peaceful. Very permanent. Zexathara looked around her dying bridge, at her suffocating crew, at the tactical display showing 2,000 dead ships drifting, helplessly around a planet they'd dismissed as defenseless. We accept your terms. Excellent. Harrison nodded to someone off-screen. Power will be restored to your ships momentarily. You have 24 hours to leave this system. Oh, and Admiral? Yes? Tell the Hegemony Council that Earth is under new management now. Human management. And we're always accepting applications from species who prefer cooperation to conquest. The screen went dark. Within minutes, power began flowing back through the ship's systems. Around them, the mighty Hegemony First Fleet slowly came back to life. A fleet of conquerors turned into a fleet of refugees, fleeing from a species they'd underestimated. As Earth shrank in the rear displays, Zexathara realized that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their hidden technology or their impossible engineering. It was their willingness to let everyone else think they were helpless, right? Up until the moment they proved they were anything but. The Hegemony would remember this day, and they would never return. Behind them, on a small blue planet that looked deceptively peaceful from space, General Harrison smiled and went back to planning for the next visitors who would inevitably come, convinced that humanity was just another primitive species waiting to be conquered. They would learn just as the others had. Humans were full of surprises.